vision by a person who had the appearance of bronze and who held in his hand a flaxen string and a measuring rod. Urnamu, ruler of Ur, depicted in an earlier millennium how his god, ordering him to build for him a temple and giving him the pertinent instructions, handed him the measuring rod and rolled string for the job. 1200 years before Moses, Gudea made the same claim. The instructions he recorded in one very long inscription were given to him in a vision. A man that shone like the heaven, by whose side stood a divine bird, commanded me to build his temple. This man, who from the crown on his head was obviously a god, was later identified as the god Ningersu. With him was a goddess who held the tablet of her favorable star of the heavens. Her other hand held a holy stylus, with which she indicated to Gudea the favorable planet. A third man, also a god, held in his hand a tablet of precious stone, the plan of a temple it contained. One of Gudea's statues shows him seated, with this tablet on his knees. On the tablet the divine drawing can clearly be seen. Wise as he was, Gudea was baffled by these architectural instructions, and he sought the advice of a goddess who could interpret divine messages. She explained to him the meaning of the instructions, the plan's measurements, and the size and shape of the bricks to be used. Gudea then employed a male diviner, maker of decisions, and a female searcher of secrets to locate the site, on the city's outskirts, where the god wished his temple to be built. He then recruited 216,000 people for the construction job. Gudea's bafflement can readily be understood, for the simple-looking floor plan supposedly gave him the necessary information to build a complex ziggurat, rising high by 7 stages. Writing in Der Alte Orient in 1900, Abelard was able to decipher at least part of the divine architectural instructions. The ancient drawing, even on the partly damaged statue, is accompanied at the top by groups of vertical lines, whose number diminishes as the space between them increases. The divine architects, it appears, were able to provide, with a single floor plan, accompanied by 7 varying scales, the complete instructions for the construction of a 7-stage high-rise temple. It has been said that war spurs man to scientific and material breakthroughs. In ancient Sumer, it seems temple construction spurred the people and their rulers into greater technological achievements. The ability to carry out major construction work according to prepared architectural plans, to organize and feed a huge labor force, to flatten land and raise mounds, to mold bricks and transport stones, to bring rare metals and other materials from afar, to weave metal and shape utensils and ornaments all clearly speak of a high civilization, already in full bloom in the 3rd millennium BC. As masterful as even the earliest Sumerian temples were, they represented but the tip of the iceberg of the scope and richness of the material achievements of the first great civilization known to man. In addition to the invention and development of writing, without which a high civilization could not have come about, the Sumerians should also be credited with the invention of printing. Millennia before Johann Gutenberg invented printing, by using movable type, Sumerian scribes used ready-made type of the various pictographic signs, which they used, as we now use rubber stamps, to impress the desired sequence of signs in the wet clay. They also invented the forerunner of our rotary presses, the cylinder seal. Made of extremely hard stone, it was a small cylinder into which the message or design had been engraved in reverse. Whenever the seal was rolled on the wet clay, the imprint created a positive impression on the clay. The seal also enabled one to assure the authenticity of documents. A new impression could be made at once to compare it with the old impression on the document. Many Sumerian and Mesopotamian written records concerned themselves not necessarily with the divine nor spiritual, but with such daily tasks as recording crops, measuring fields, and calculating prices. Indeed, no high civilization would have been possible without a parallel advanced system of mathematics. The Sumerian system, called sexagesimal, combined a mundane 10 with the celestial 6 to obtain the base figure 60. This system is in some respects superior to our present one. In any case, it is unquestionably superior to later Greek and Roman systems. It enabled the Sumerians to divide into fractions and multiply into the millions, to calculate roots or raise numbers several powers. This was not only the first known mathematical system, but also one that gave us the place concept, just as, in the decimal system, 2 can be 2, or 20, or 200, depending on the digits place, so could a Sumerian to mean 2, or 120, 2 by 60, and so on, depending on the place, the 360-degree circle, the foot, and its 12 inches, and the dozen as a unit are but a few examples of the vestiges of Sumerian mathematics still evident in our daily life. Their concomitant achievements in astronomy, the establishment of a calendar, and similar mathematical celestial feats will receive much closer study in coming chapters. Just as our own economic and social system, our books, court and tax records, commercial contracts, marriage certificates, and so on, depends on paper, Sumerian/Mesopotamian life depended on clay. Temples, courts, and trading houses had their scribes ready with tablets of wet clay on which to inscribe decisions, agreements, letters, or calculate prices, wages, the area of a field, or the number of bricks required in a construction. Clay was also a crucial raw material for the manufacture of utensils for daily use and containers for storage and transportation of goods. It was also used to make bricks, another Sumerian first, which made possible the building of houses for the people, palaces for the kings, and imposing temples for the gods. The Sumerians are credited with 2 technological breakthroughs that made it possible to combine lightness with tensile strength for all clay products, reinforcing and firing. Modern architects have discovered that reinforced concrete, an extremely strong building material, can be created by pouring cement into molds containing iron rods. Long ago, the Sumerians gave their bricks great strength by mixing the wet clay with chopped roots or straw. They also knew that clay products could be given tensile strength and durability by firing them in a kiln. The world's first high-rise buildings and archways, as well as durable ceramic wares, were made possible by these technological breakthroughs. The invention of the kiln, a furnace in which intense but controllable temperatures could be attained without the risk of contaminating products with dust or ashes, made possible an even greater technological advance, the age of metals. It has been assumed that man discovered that he could hammer soft stones, naturally occurring nuggets of gold as well as copper and silver compounds, into useful or pleasing shapes. Sometime about 6000 BC, the first hammered metal artifacts were found in the highlands of the Zagros and Taurus mountains. However, as R.J. Forbes, the birthplace of old world metallurgy, pointed out, in the ancient Near East, the supply of native copper was quickly exhausted, and the miner had to turn to ores. This required the knowledge and ability to find and extract the ores, crush them, then smelt and refine them, processes that could not have been carried out without kiln-type furnaces and a generally advanced technology. The art of metallurgy soon encompassed the ability to alloy copper with other metals, resulting in a castable, hard, but malleable metal we call bronze. The Bronze Age, our first metallurgical age, was also a Mesopotamian contribution to modern civilization. Much of ancient commerce was devoted to the metals trade. It also formed the basis for the development in Mesopotamia of banking and the first money, the silver shekel weighing bit. The many varieties of metals and alloys for which Sumerian and Akkadian names have been found, and the extensive technological terminology attest to the high level of metallurgy in ancient Mesopotamia. For a while this puzzled the scholars, because Sumer, as such, was devoid of metal ores, yet metallurgy most definitely began there. The answer is energy. Smelting, refining, and alloying, as well as casting, could not be done without ample supplies of fuels to fire the kilns, crucibles, and furnaces. Mesopotamia may have lacked ores, but it had fuels in abundance. So the ores were brought to the fuels, which explains many early inscriptions describing the bringing of metal ores from afar. The fuels that made Sumer technologically supreme were bitumens and asphalts, petroleum products that naturally seeped up to the surface in many places in Mesopotamia.